I'm gonna make this very simple for you, Dan. Men should not play sports against women. I'm not gonna get into all the bullshit that's going on out here in the world today. If anybody thinks that, I think they're stupid. I'm not, like I say, I support the gay community 100%. I support the transgender community 100%. But I do not, under any circumstances, under zero, think that men should play sports against women. And if anybody have a problem with that, they're going to have to get over it, because I'm not going to change I'm not going to change. I just think it's wrong, period.
Which are what? The science behind this, that men and women are different. And you can call yourself a woman, you can call yourself a cat, call yourself whatever you want, but the facts are what? Trans women are men. And the W in WNBA stands for women.
Before the game, you had a conversation with Sophie Cunningham.
I did.
If you want to share what you talked about, feel free. But more of my question is just how important is it to have those like in-person conversations with people that
I think it's great.
Views?
I think it's great. I think both of us understand that we have platforms, and we both talked about wanting to more than anything educate, and there are some things that.
Without blinking, Charles Barkley said the one thing that most members of the sports media have been afraid to say aloud. Barkley expressed his agreement with Sophie Cunningham's view that men shouldn't participate in women's sports while he was on Inside the NBA. And he said it in the same direct, no-nonsense manner that he has employed throughout his career whenever he believes that something simple is being purposefully convoluted.
But I'm never going to think it's all right for men to play sports against women. And I don't even think that's controversial. That's the thing that's funny. Like some of this stuff make, like when you see these debates on television, I'm like, yeah, men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. I don't want to hear you try to explain it to me. No, I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to argue with you. Men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. There's a lot of we can argue over. That ain't.
Go back to the beginning of this. In an interview, Sophie stated unequivocally that she believes competition should remain segregated by biological sex, and that she wants to safeguard young girls and women in sports. There is only a policy opinion provided in response to a straight query. There is no name-calling or targeting of any particular player. Barkley's response to the same words sparked weeks of national attention.
You don't see trans men going and saying, I want to play football. I want to play basketball. I want to be. Why there's no trans men going into men's spaces? Why is it trans women that's going into women's spaces? Show me the last time a trans man was on a podium in any sport. Show me the last time a trans man won in cycling, cross country, football, they played on the team, volleyball team, track and field, 4x100 meter relay on track and field, steeplechase. Name it. Show me a trans man that have been competitive. Show me one. Show me one.
Since that interview, Sophie's situation has progressed far beyond disagreement. Every time she touches the ball on the road, she receives jeers. Banners have been directed toward arenas, and the WNBA has hesitated to intervene and declare that enough is enough. It began to appear less like supporters venting their annoyance and more like a concerted attempt to hold one player accountable for saying something that many others secretly agreed with.
Why the fuck are y'all booing Sophie Cunningham at every game now, man? This is what we doing to Sophie, trying to villainize this woman when all she did was stand up.
The jeers from Portland convey the message clearly. The audience booed each time Sophie caught the ball, loud enough for the broadcast microphones to pick it up. She didn't recoil. Instead of holding a press conference, she responded the way competitors typically do, by shooting directly at those making fun of her and letting the scoreboard speak for itself.
All of the crazies out there are now protesting her at WNBA games. So much so that a coach from another team pulled Sophie aside to have a few words with her and just let her know what she had thought about what Sophie said. Guys, Sophie Cunningham is probably the most popular athlete in the WNBA. If she goes bye-bye, there is no more WNBA. Additionally, have you ever seen Sophie Cunningham play ball before? What on earth makes y'all think that she cares about a bunch of crybabies complaining about an 80-20 issue? Literally, no one wants men and women's sports. It is highly unpopular, and the only people that do want that are people who have likely never played sports before in their lives.
However, there is more to the story than meets the eye. At away games, banners with statements blatantly intended to humiliate Serena for the ESPN remarks have appeared, and arena security has had to intervene on multiple occasions when tensions between fans with opposing placards got out of control. This level of audience tension over something that happened completely off the field is uncommon for a WNBA game. And just that illustrates how far this has come outside of basketball.
Super respectful. We were just holding our signs and cheering for both teams. And this lady, older lady, comes up to us, and she comes up to us, and at first I think she's gonna be nice, and then she asked like, "What are you guys doing?" or something like that. And then it was like, "Jesus loves everyone." That's what she told us, and I was like, "Oh, I know. Like, I'm religious. Like, I know. Like, I know."
Nice.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I hope Jesus can forgive you for what sin you've done," and like something like that. And then she told us that we were effing insane, and that we
And she's
needed
like,
to-
and she went like
Yes.
insane.
Yeah.
She's like, you better stop this
and stop pulling
shit.
this. Yeah,
And
for you guys
I
to
hope
come
God
here
can
and
save
pull
you.
this. Yeah.
She said,
As
for you to
for-
come
yeah.
here and pull this shit.
Yeah.
She said the word.
Yeah.
Did she say effing insane or the fucking
No, she said the word. Yeah.
And nobody around you spoke up for you. No.
No.
I will say, Annalie, when I came over, you were in tears.
Yeah, I've never been yelled at like that. I mean, I've had people hate on me on the internet, but like it doesn't really affect me because it's just people on.
The moment that truly blasted this open then arrived. Celeste Caton, a co-owner of the Seattle Storm, accosted two teenage spectators seated courtside over a placard that merely thanked Sophie for advocating for girls in sports. No animosity towards that sign, no assault on any player, just appreciation. Before the evening was over, one of the girls broke down in tears when Caton called their presence insane and said they needed forgiveness. After the video went viral, the league finally penalized and suspended Caton, but only after days of public pressure. When Barkley finally addressed the matter on television, he was doing it against that backdrop. He wasn't merely offering an abstract opinion on a policy dispute. He was responding to a dispute that had serious repercussions already. An adult in a position of authority believed it was worthwhile to challenge the sign of two children who had come to a game to cheer on a player they admired, leaving them shaken.
Sophie Cunningham has said that males, biological males, do not belong in women's sport. That's it. That is irrational, sane, commonly shared stance. It's a safety issue. It's a fairness issue. It's not an anti-trans kids campaign, but this coach saying, "Oh, trans kids are well." This is what they do. The straw man argument. She is trying to say that Sophie is against trans kids and she's excluding them and this is evil. No! It's so dumb. It's so evil. It's so calculated. And this is how they silence people.
Barkley did more than just concur with Sophie. He went so far as to issue a direct warning to the league, stating something akin to, "Y'all got to be very careful how you handle this." He made the point that attempting to penalize a player for voicing an honest opinion creates a risky precedent for all parties, players, coaches, and the league office. Given Barkley's platform and track record of stating his thoughts regardless of who it offends, that comment carries more weight than it may seem. The fact that Barkley wasn't the only well-known voice in sports prepared to speak up was what elevated this occasion beyond a single segment. As soon as his remarks became viral, other prominent people from quite other spheres of the sports industry started offering their own opinions. Furthermore, only a few of them came close to the WNBA's official stance on the issue.
So she just says what's true. She says common sense thing, and she gets so much backlash. She's like, men should not be playing in women's sports. Why is that so, like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's a simple statement. She stood by it. That's what I love about when people say things. Don't back down. If you say something, stand by it. And she said it. She backed it up. She's not backing down no matter how much heat she gets from certain people. It's an 80-20 issue. 80% of the country think it's true, 20% don't. The 20% is crushing her. Let them. Who cares? But I love that she didn't back down. I love everything she stands for. She plays hard. She's good. I don't, like I said, I don't watch WNBA, but I like those two girls right there. Yeah, she's going to get backlash from the girls around her and other teams. And, you know, it's a liberal and mostly gay league, which is fine. I have no problem. My daughter is gay. No problem. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with that. But the way they push things on people, sometimes I don't like it in the WNBA. That's why I'm not a big fan of watching their games and supporting it.
One of the first football players to speak out was former Chicago Bears linebacker Brian Urlacher, who stated bluntly that he didn't understand why an honest perspective about competitive fairness was being handled like a scandal. Former NBA center and ESPN analyst Kendrick Perkins adopted a more cautious approach but came to the same conclusion, arguing that players should be free to respond candidly to inquiries without having their season used as a litmus test. Never one to remain silent for long, Shaquille O'Neal commented on his own show, implying that folks searching for something to be angry about had exaggerated the whole situation. Additionally, it wasn't limited to retiring athletes. This was not your average sports talk radio dust-up, since both current announcers and former Olympians began to weigh in. Regardless of one's position on the fundamental issue, Sage Steele, who has previously been vocal about concerns about fairness in women's sports, publicly supported the two adolescent girls who were addressed by Catan, claiming that their treatment reflected poorly on the entire Storm organization.
Trying to almost weaponize the word kid and children to, dig deep on the feelings of people instead of the facts, which are what? The science behind this, that men and women are different. And you can call yourself a woman, you can call yourself a cat, call yourself whatever you want, but the facts are what? Trans women are men. And the W in WNBA stands for women. So I just hate it when words like that are weaponized. And Sophie Cunningham made it very, very clear from day one, when, by the way, she didn't bring this up. She was asked by an ESPN reporter about this topic, and she answered. And then as the controversy brewed, she went on Twitter and said the same thing, which is, I am not trying to exclude anyone. Everybody is welcome at my table, but this is the WNBA.
Because Steele wasn't approaching this from within the NBA like Barkley did, her remarks were significant. She tackled it from the viewpoint of a broadcaster, someone who has covered sports disputes for years and understands the distinction between a player voicing an opinion and one who is attacking someone. According to her interpretation, Sophie never went over that boundary, and the response to her remarks revealed more about the state of affairs than anything she had said. After that, the number of other voices rapidly increased. Riley Gaines, a retired swimmer and vocal supporter of women's sports equity, publicly applauded Barkley for utilizing his platform to voice what she had been advocating for years, albeit from an activist rather than a sports commentator perspective. On their own social media pages, golf commentators and even a few former Major League Baseball players sent brief remarks, most of which reiterated the same point. An athlete's honest response to a straight question shouldn't be used as justification for a campaign against her.
Do you think Sophie Cunningham's comments were anti-trans?
No, not even a little. Dan, she went out of her way to say, I love everyone. This is about science and fairness and protecting women. Because guess what? Until recently, women, we had our own sets of grievances. We couldn't vote. It wasn't that long ago. You really put it in the context of the history of the world. Women couldn't vote. We couldn't get, checking accounts without the husband's signature. All these things women fought for. Women to be able to be in the workplace. All of these things. Now that we've gotten those things and we've evened the playing field, somehow there's this other level of grievance come. It's always about grievance. And this is protecting what we've earned, not about hating on anybody else.
During a first take segment, Perkins went into further depth, stating that he has covered many sportsmen who have made controversial statements throughout the years. What caught his attention about Sophie's predicament was how composed and unwavering she had remained throughout. She had never escalated or used derogatory language, despite the growing backlash against her. He made the point that many NBA players have made far more offensive remarks about far more delicate subjects without ever experiencing anything like the coordinated backlash Sophie has. However, It's important to acknowledge that not everyone was on Sophie's side. Regardless of her intentions, some current WNBA players and a few coaches strongly objected, claiming that her remarks created a hostile environment for opponents and teammates who don't fit the dichotomy she was presenting. Barkley's remarks oversimplified a far more complex discussion about inclusiveness in athletics, according to some sports pundits on other networks, who accused him of offering his opinion on a topic he didn't fully comprehend. That opposition is just as important as the support because it demonstrates that the league as a whole is not being targeted by a single disgruntled legend. There are sincere individuals on both sides who have strong opinions about what sports justice ought to entail. Some athletes have publicly stated that while they appreciate Sophie as a competitor, they don't agree with her framing. They contend that a little sound bite from an interview doesn't adequately convey the complexity of the discussion concerning inclusiveness. Brittney Griner's own remarks, which fell somewhere in the middle rather than wholly on one side or the other, added yet more depth. Griner told media prior to a game against Sophie's squad that handling the situation had been annoying as crap. She didn't necessarily disagree with Sophie's right to voice her opinions, but she was annoyed by the amount of controversy around a single interview response.
Besides the point, Sophie Cunningham becoming the face of protecting women and protecting girls is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. For one, she's saying that it's not about trans athletes. It's about protecting young girls. It's not about excluding only trans athletes. But you were a ring girl for somebody that has alleged allegations against women. Not only that, but being exposed by an old teammate for voting for somebody that has alleged allegations against young women and young girls. Young girls. Young girls, right? So all of a sudden, she's the face of protecting young girls and young women, but being a hypocrite. That's only one part of this conversation. The focus of shutting the doors on trans athletes being this big emphasis right now, while trans athletes are just minding their freaking business. I have not seen a trans woman.
Some interpreted it as Griner quietly berating Sophie for first causing the issue. Others interpreted it as Griner complaining about the media circus and the incessant inquiries rather than anything specific to Sophie. Which reading was more accurate was made evident by what actually transpired next.
And this is what I keep talking about when I say we live in a backwards society. Sophie Cunningham, a WNBA player, one of the most notable WNBA players in the league now, is trying to defend women's rights. And the same women she's trying to defend are attacking her. Because it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. It doesn't matter what you mean by it. All it looks like is you support Trump. And these women have Trump derangement syndrome. They don't understand that you're making women's sports safer and fair so that they don't have to get in a ring and box a man. So they don't have to spend their entire life training to be beaten by a man who wasn't good enough to play in the NBA. So she's doing what she can to protect the sanctity of the sports that she loves. And you guys are attacking her for it. That is the craziest, most backward shit I have ever seen or heard, bro. I've never heard anything like this. So you don't want fair sports for women?
Griner and Sophie had a playful moment on the court prior to the start of the same game, imitating a popular finger-point motion that had been making the rounds on social media, demonstrating that there was no genuine hostility between the two of them. Because it demonstrated that two players who openly differed could still have a normal, even amicable moment before competing against each other like professionals. That video did more to defuse the situation than any official league statement. That is actually the conflict that underlies the entire narrative. Compared to many of the individuals responding from the outside, the players closest to the situation, including Sophie and Griner, have handled it with significantly more poise. Even though she maintains her position in competitive categories, Sophie has stated time and time again that she thinks there is space for everyone to be treated with respect, including biological women, and trans males. She has never made fun of anyone in public, never exacerbated a conflict, and even offered to send gifts to the two teenage girls whom Catan had degraded, turning an unpleasant event into a personal matter for her.
for anyone who attends a Storm game. Cunningham also weighed in after this alleged confrontation at the game. She posted on social media, "I truly believe there is a safe space and love for everybody, biological girls, biological boys, trans women, and trans men. Everyone is welcome at my table. You can disagree and still be kind." She said, "Bravo to those girls for standing up for what they believe. You'll be hearing from me soon." And she added, "Truly embarrassing of the co-owner. Unfortunately shows the type of leader she is."
Her reaction to the co-owner event garnered nearly as much attention as the initial interview. She applauded the two girls for standing up for their beliefs, noted that people may differ and still be kind to one another, and directly criticized Ketan's actions without ever calling for her to lose her job or making personal attacks. Throughout this entire story, that tone has remained constant despite the increasing volume of sound surrounding her. When you contrast that with some of the crowd's reactions at away games, the difference is clear. Planned jeers whenever she touches the ball, banners meant to shame her, and a co-owner who felt it was appropriate to confront teenagers over a thank you sign. It's difficult to deny that Sophie has been the one escalating the situation, regardless of one's position in this argument.
Covering your sign.
That division is now apparent in a whole different way outside of venues. An increasing number of supporters have begun to show up at away games with "Save Women's Sports" posters, standing in opposition to counter-protesters who have their own signs denouncing Sophie's position. Local news outlets have begun to cover the crowds outside the arena nearly as much as the game taking place inside, and security has had to divide them on multiple occasions. When Barkley finally broke his silence, he chose to enter that setting. He didn't even need to speak. Many pundits steer clear of these subjects completely since there is no benefit to delving into something so sensitive, but Barkley has never truly behaved in that manner. After he finished speaking, a flurry of other voices began to emerge, some of them strongly disagreeing with what they had been thinking for weeks. Days after Barkley's episode aired, Ehrlich's remarks continued to circulate, primarily because football fans who don't typically follow WNBA topics found themselves paying attention to this one. Perkins persisted in explaining his stance on several programs, constantly returning to the same main argument. Sophie gave an honest response to a question and has acted more composedly than the majority of those who are attacking her.
So let's get something straight. Sophie Cunningham can make publicly transphobic comments, triple down on them, and continue to play without facing any real consequences, averaging 9 points per game, by the way. And yet, the second that someone else pushes back on them, they get hit with a suspension and a fine. Like, am I reading this correctly? Cunningham's recent harmful comments about trans women and women's sports sparked an anti-trans rally outside of Tuesday's game between the Storm and the Fever. In fact, a second Sophie Cunningham rally, which is what they're calling it, by the way, is also being planned for Friday's game in Portland against the Fire.
Instead of making every press conference a vote on individuals' personal beliefs, the NBA as a whole needs to concentrate on basketball. Over the years, many athletes have made statements that sparked much less coordinated criticism. And why is this specific subject attracting so much more attention than other sports disputes? It doesn't appear like any of this will change anytime soon. Every time Sophie plays away from home, cameras watch to see if the jeers persist, whether new banners appear, and whether the league office ultimately confronts the issue head-on rather than releasing ambiguous remarks after the fact. The narrative gains new life on a new platform each time a reputable voice from a different area of the sports world weighs in, whether in favor or against.
not respect Sophie Cunningham more because she's putting her career on the line, speaking her truth, trying to protect our women and girls, and making sure that they have the ability to compete and all of their hard work to pay off because they're competing on an even playing field. That is the number one issue to me. And I want to see more women go ahead and speak out about this because put all the other issues aside. This is sport. And in sport, it must be a fair and even playing field. And having biological men competing with women is robbing them of their opportunities. Number one, that is simple. If this is a sport, it should be about equality and fairness on the playing field. And this is not fair. All the other issues, protecting our women in the locker rooms, all of that, I agree with. But when it comes to sport, this should be the number one frontier issue, and it is not talked about enough. And we need more women to talk about it because it's stealing the opportunities of our hardworking women and girls.
All of this makes it very evident that Sophie Cunningham never requested to be at the forefront of a national discussion around equity in women's sports. She gave an honest response to a question, defended it in the face of criticism, and maintained her composure while the situation around her continued to worsen. This debate wasn't sparked by Charles Barkley breaking his silence, but it did prove what many had previously suspected, that her viewpoint is shared by a considerably larger number of people in the sports world than the biggest online outbursts would ever suggest.